Hi everyone, welcome to part 2 of the Akim 2020 virtual trek. Today we're going to look at 2 more sites inside of Eilat before we head off up into the north. So let's go. Okay, so where are we? If you recall, last time we finished off in Rashrush over here. Today we're going to come into Eilat, take a right turn up road 12, that's the main road heading up the hill, and then heading up to the Egyptian border, but stopping just on the outskirts over here at what I've marked as Darb El Hajj. So let's go. Okay, what are we looking at? We're looking at Eilat from the west. That's Aqaba in the background, obviously. And this valley here, this empty space, is called Nachal or Wadi Shachmon. Much of it is parkland today. At the top of Wadi Shachmon is an environmental installation of art known as the Way to Mecca, or the Darb El Hajj. Let me show you a picture. Okay, now what is the Darb El Hajj? Darb El Hajj was first conceived in 1999 by the artist Buki Schwartz and the environmental architect Tzvi Deckel, but was only finally completed in 2013. Why? Because many of the residents objected to an installation meant to honor the millions of Muslim pilgrims that passed through Aqaba and Eilat, being built in an Israeli city. I think thankfully it was built, and I think it's a wonderful installation, and I don't want to get into the politics of it. You can decide that for yourself. It's a 2-minute drive up road 12 to the edges of Eilat, and it's a nice thing to see, particularly when you look down it, you're looking towards the Gulf. Now, what is the Hajj and what is the Darb El Hajj? When the Muslims, first of all, what is the Hajj? The word Hajj, note the short vowel sound, is the term for the required pilgrimage that every Muslim must make in his lifetime to Mecca. It's one of the 5 pillars of Islam. Someone who makes the pilgrimage is known as a Hajj with a long vowel sound. The word itself, Hajj, is equivalent to the Hebrew word Chag, and they both come from the word Chagag, which means to go around in circles, because apparently when people used to celebrate, they used to dance around in circles or do hakafot or whatever. When the Muslims conquered the north of Africa and the Middle East and spread out even further east to India, they found themselves with millions of adherents to their religion, all of whom during their lifetime had to make their way to Mecca. To facilitate that, the Muslim authorities started to build fixed routes through which people could travel to Mecca. Some by land, some by sea. 2 of those land routes passed through Aqaba. The first, or at least partially passed through Aqaba. The first, as you can see on this map here, ran from Damascus down to Aqaba and then on to Mecca, or down here. Now, this road, which is on the ridge line of the hills on the east bank of the Jordan, the hills of Edom and Moab, is known historically as the King's Way. Now, why is it called the King's Way? There's a story in the book of Genesis, in Bereshit, I think it's chapter 14, where these 4 kings fight these other 5 kings in the area of Sodom, and they capture Lot, and then Abraham comes with his army and saves Lot. Anyway, that's what gave the name to this road, because it's believed that the kings who lived up here and down here would have traveled along that road to go to this battle, hence the King's Way. It's explicitly called the King's Way later in the book of Numbers. In the last chapter of this presentation, we talked about the Exodus route, how they left Etzion Geber, that's Eilat, and headed off into the desert of Moab and Edom. When in the book of Numbers, I think it's chapter 20, 21, something like that, the Jews, the children of Israel came to Edom, they went up to the king and said, "Can we travel through your land? We won't leave the King's Way, neither on either side, and we won't eat your cattle and we won't drink your food." And they said the same to Sichon, the king of the Amorites. Can we travel along the King's Way? That's this road. So it's a very ancient road. It's equivalent to what we call the Patriarch's Road, which is our Road 60 today. that ran along the Western Ridge Mountains. And the King's Way today is a major Jordanian highway, because what was once a good route to travel is always a good route to travel. The other route, the other important route, was the one from North Africa, from Cairo to Suez, through the Mitla Pass and on to Aqaba. That's this route here. Okay. Now, when people made the pilgrimage, we're talking millions of people every year. They didn't go in ones and twos. They went in the thousands. And the Muslim authorities would facilitate their movement by building roads and building khans and digging wells and preparing food to feed all these thousands of people making the Hajj every year. This is a lovely picture from 1900 of a encampment of pilgrims ready to set off to Mecca from Jaffa, who had probably come in by boat. This next one shows, I think it's from 1910, this one, showing a camel train with people in their tents on the back of camels heading off to Mecca. Now this is Route 12, just west of Eilat. If you continue up the hill past the park of Wadi Shahwan, you get to this section of the road. Now if you look on the left of it, and the Egyptian border is just over here, by the way. If you look at the left of it, this bit here, this is part of the original Dar el Hajj road, and there's bits of it scattered on both sides of the road all the way down to Eilat. Now, what does it consist of? The sculpture itself is over 400 meters long and has over 100 pillars representing pilgrims. I don't want to say statues because that would be problematic because of the question of using human imagery in relation to Islam or Judaism for that matter. They are representations of pilgrims making their way along the Dar el Hajj to Mecca. I think it's if you're in Eilat, just take a 2-minute drive up the hill and take a look at it. It's worthwhile. Okay, from here, I want to go to one more site inside Eilat. That's a place known as the Williams House. Now, the Williams House is opposite the Coral Beach over here, and this is the bottom of Nahal Shlomo, Wadi Shlomo, Solomon Valley. We're about 3 or 4 kilometers south of the center of Eilat here. What is the Williams House? Let's take a look at the picture. The Williams House was built by a man by the name of Leonard Lloyd Williams, Captain Leonard Lloyd Williams, who was a captain in the British Army in World War I and stayed in Israel until 1949. He was also a geologist. Now, he had a house in Gaza, he had a house in Beersheba, and he spent his days traveling around the country looking for deposits of minerals in this country. The only one he found, by the way, for anyone who's actually been to Otef Aza, to the lands around Gaza, was a sulfur mine that he established in 1930 behind Kibbutz Be'eri, if anyone has been there, in what's known as the Be'eri Badlands or Bitrot Be'eri. He found a sulfur deposit, which he mined for 12 years till 1942, with reasonable success. It wasn't a high-grade mine, and unfortunately it required a lot of water, and that's why it was never restarted. It wasn't a high-grade deposit. The house today is a lovely, ecologically sound bed and breakfast of 4 rooms, and it's meant to be quite luxurious. I never stayed there myself, and is notable as the southernmost house in the state of Israel, private house in the state of Israel, apparently. As for the captain himself, he was last seen paddling frantically across the Gulf of Aqaba about an hour before the Israeli troops arrived in 1949. Why? Because apart from being a geologist, he was also known as a spy. Who he was spying for? Probably everyone. I've tried my damnedest to get information on Captain Williams, what happened to him after he was seen paddling away. Haven't found a thing. If anyone knows anything or knows any stories about the guy, I'd love to know. I don't even know when he died. Maybe he didn't make it across the Gulf of Aqaba, who knows. Anyway, that is the Williams House. Next time you're driving down there, maybe stay there. Who knows? It's meant to be very nice. And that's it for today's short presentation. And I'll see you next time when we get up a few kilometres north of Eilat to the Evrona farms.